Call tonight's council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Council members Litz.
Here.
Staggers.
Present.
Anderson.
Here.
Benega.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Costello.
Here.
Jamison.
Here.
Knutson.
Here.
We have a quorum present for tonight's meeting. Tonight will be led in the invocation by Dr. Ron Tonningham from Empire Baptist Temple here in Sioux Falls. After the invocation, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. All that can, please rise.
Our Heavenly Father, tonight, thank you for the honor of being able to be here. Thank you for the folks who are willing to sacrifice time, even those with various opinions and ideas, to be able to come and keep this city on a level keel. Thank you for those who come also in the audience, who bring issues and listen and pay attention to what goes on in this city. I thank you myself personally for being able to live in one of the greatest cities in the world, and thank you for this group who helps to manage and make it stay that way. We pray that you'd hover over this meeting tonight, that you'd bless, that you'd give guidance, that when it's all over, it would be the way you'd like things to go and not the way we'd like things to go in every case. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Let's seconds. Further comments on the motion? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion to approve the consent agenda, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
All members present have voted. The consent agenda has been approved 8-0. Is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
So move, Litz.
Let's move. Is there a second?
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconds. Further comments, further motions? I see none, so all in favor of the motion to approve the regular agenda, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
All members present have voted. The regular agenda has been approved 8-0. This is the time that we set aside a period for 5 minutes. Anyone wishing to address the council, we just ask them to come up and give their name. At this time, anyone want to address the council, come forward, please. Okay, I see no one that is coming forward at this time, so we will move into the regular agenda, and we will move into item 11.
Item 11 is a special one-day liquor license for SMG to be operated at the Orpheum Theater, 315 North Phillips Avenue, for a business meeting reception on March 6, 2010.
Okay, is there any comments? Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve, Jamison.
Jamison moves. Is there a second?
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconds. No one else wishes to talk on the item 11. We will move forward. We've got a motion been made. Second. All in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Knutson.
Oh, sorry.
All members present have voted. Item 11 been approved 8-0. Item 12.
Item 12 is deferred action from the meeting of February 8, 2010, second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 15.5Bs.
Good evening, Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. This item has been deferred a couple of times, and it started out as an attempt to address the exemption of fees for certain types of projects that would include not only building and permit fees, but also certain fees that are charged by city engineering. And we had requested a couple of times to defer this so that we could put together more of a criteria or policy as far as what type of projects would be eligible for these exemptions. And we kind of thought we had something ready to go tonight, but as I understand the status of it now, Councilor Staggers has a proposed amendment. Councilor Beneke has also talked about another amendment. And then even tonight, talking to some of our staff, I think there's still some question about what exactly this would apply to and what it would not. So at least I personally would prefer a chance to look at this additional time, unfortunately. And but again, that's up to the council if you would allow us to take a little more time to review this and come up with some criteria as to what would be applicable.
Gerald?
Well, this is a lot like making sausage. It's,
The unfortunate part is that we do need to get this done, but I do believe we need to do it right. And the Community Development Department brought up an issue just a few minutes ago, which would probably question the fees for Habitat for Humanity and for the Center for Independent Living, which used to be the Prairie Freedom Center, about homeowner issues. And I believe we do need to defer this one more time until the first meeting in April. And we're not going to defer it to the 43rd day like the legislature, but we will get it done in the first meeting in April.
So your motion is deferred to April 5th? That's the
Please.
first meeting?
I second that motion, Knutson.
Bennigan made the motion, Knutson seconded the motion to defer until April 5th. Is there further comments on the motion to defer?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to vote for the deferral, but I would hope that we definitely change this language here from the Planning Department, single-family dwellings, because it cut out the Union Gospel Mission, St. Francis House, and so forth. And, I mean, that was the initial amendment, was to support some multi-housing. And now we have that single-family dwelling in the Planning Department's amendment. We could make sure we get rid of that.
Okay, go ahead.
My response, Kermit, would be is that the process is still the same. We're trying to make sure that everybody's included without naming specific organizations, and that people that meet the 501c3 IRS code and their mission is to support affordable housing would be part of the process rather than naming individual organizations.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that certain those very worthy organizations are not excluded by general language, and so.
Okay. Further comments on the motion to defer until April 5th? We got a motion made and seconded for that deferral. Further comments? I see none, so all in favor of the deferral to April 5th, will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
That motion prevails, 8-0. It is deferred until April 5th. So item 13.
Item 13 is an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by adopting the 2009 International Building Code and amendments thereto.
Good evening, Ron Bell with Planning Building Services. What you have in front of you is a proposal to adopt the 2009 edition of the International Building Code. International Building Code is promulgated by the International Code Council in a 3-year code change cycle. We come before you every 3 years to update, to make sure that City of Sioux Falls has the most up-to-date and recent model codes. We've also went through a process of going through local amendments. What has been presented to you is an ordinance synopsis and submittal that tells you what the major amendments are at the national level and what the proposed local amendments are that we're trying to get through. At this time, I'd like to let you know that we had some unfinished business when we came through for first reading. We had an issue with the Multi-Housing Association and disability groups concerning our original proposal to simply require Type A dwelling units. Type A dwelling units are a more adaptable type of dwelling unit in multifamily construction. Type A dwelling units were put in the code in 1997, and we had chose to not require Type A dwelling units through the 97, 2000, 2003, 2006 code change cycles because those types of units were recognized as being above and beyond federal guidelines, Federal Fair Housing Amendments Act. This year, meeting with the disability community, they proposed to insert Type A dwelling units and start requiring that. So we proposed, the first reading just simply showed Type A dwelling units as being something that we would start requiring. Type A dwelling units would be required per the National Model Code at 20 units. So you can build a building up to 20 units and not be affected by a Type A dwelling unit unless it also is driven by site requirements. So if you had a site with 4, 8, 10, 12 plexes, once you hit over 20, you would have to have one Type A dwelling unit. After that, it's 2%, so you'd have to have a second Type A dwelling unit after the first 100 apartments. What happened after first reading is that we met with Multi-Housing Association, a couple representatives from that, and also a couple representatives of the disability community, and came up with an amendment, which you will find on page 25 of the final document and page 48 of the marked version. It's section 107.6211 of the International Building Code. What we did is we inserted a item number 3 for the exceptions, and the reason that we did that was the input that we had from the multi-housing people, saying that their perception was that to build more type A dwelling units would create difficulty in their ability to rent those types of units. And it took a lot of discussion to verify that we're not talking about completely accessible units, which on occasion you would have with tax credits. We're talking about providing more area for people with disabilities. And what happened during those meetings is that they identified certain criteria that they thought would make it difficult to not be able to rent to somebody that didn't have a disability. So what we propose to do with this is simply take care of their concerns and put in 5 exceptions in this that would not make a type A dwelling unit difficult to rent if it wasn't for a person with a disability, but keep in the amount of square footage, specifically in the bathrooms, to make sure that the bathrooms are usable by somebody with a disability. So with that, we're presenting that amendment.
Questions of Ron?
Yes, Ron, how do we determine whether there'll be, 2% type A in a building complex with a lot of units, and how do we determine we'll have maybe 1 for every 20 units? I mean, do we take a look at the population of the city, or is this just a national formula, or what?
That's a national model code.
Okay,
And
national model.
those types of statistics are brought during national consensus process. And the 2% is a figure that is used during disability discussions during the national consensus process.
And then also I have a question, too. You mentioned that there might be some people who are not disabled that are using these facilities. Let's suppose that a disabled person comes to this facility and wants to rent, and there's no type A facilities. Can people who are presently living there in the type A that are not disabled be bumped out?
No,
Okay.
not at all. It's a matter of getting these types of units available to the public.
Further questions of Ron? Others that wish to address the council on item number 13? Seeing no one, go ahead.
Just to get for purposes of discussion, I know that there's been a lot of people that Ron has met with recently, and there was a lot of discussions, but to get that discussion going here, I'm going to make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, okay. Is there a second? So is there a second to the motion?
Second,
I got a second, got a motion?
Mayor?
Made, second to approve item 13. Any other
Mayor,
motions?
before we move on, we do have people who want to put in input.
And I think, excuse me, but I think we got an amendment that we got to put on this that we have too that they've asked. So, Jonas, and then we can go back to that if you want to.
I just said, I know we do have people out here that wanted
Right.
to make an input.
And we asked them, and nobody came forward the first time. So,
Right.
So, but we got a motion to amend.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know, this doesn't make sense to me because, okay, we're going to require type A, but we're not reserving it for them exclusively. So, I mean, we could require all the kind of type A that we want, but if, they have no access, if these are being occupied by other people,
Just keep in mind that Federal Fair Housing Amendments Act and the building code itself requires type B dwelling units. So since 1990, they're due to federal guidelines, and it took about 3 code changes to get it into our building codes, that it requires certain amount of clear floor space in order to access appliances and bathtubs and water closets and so forth. It's basically a 30 by 48 space in that. What happened with the building codes back in 97 is that they simply expanded on that criteria from what the federal guidelines say for type Bs of 30 by 48 to now encompass more areas and more maneuverability for people with disabilities. But instead of mandating that everywhere. They simply came up with national consensus statistics to require at least 1 after the first 20 and 2% after that. But, so it's a matter of designing a building, not just to meet type B dwelling units, but to provide a more adaptable and more area within a building to provide better usability but with people with disabilities.
Yeah, but once again, there's no requirement that you have to have people with disabilities in type A. And so it's not, you're building it for people with disabilities, but then you can have anybody else living there.
Yeah,
So this, it doesn't seem
you
to...
could have the elderly that would not necessarily be in a wheelchair, that has maneuverability problems, that would want to utilize more
You
space.
could have college students. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. You have to build this type A, but then you can have college students in there running around, having a good time, and disabled person's not going to be able to be there.
That would be up to the landlord.
This is, okay.
Ron, you've got the proposed amendment to items 13, the type A dwelling units you'd like to see added, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, that was my intention on moving for approval, was so somebody...
Yeah, we had to have the motion to approve, now we're at the amendments, so you want to
For
make
the
a motion to
amendment, so we
amend?
can get the conversation going here, yes.
Okay, motion to
Well,
amend?
Then I would like to make a motion to amend the item that Mr. Bell has
Is
brought
there a
forward.
second to that?
Second.
Costello, second. Okay, we got a motion made and second to approve. Now we got a motion to amend. We're at the motion to amend. Further comments on the motion? Would anybody like to address the motion to amend? Come forward, please. Give your name.
Joel Niemeyer. I'm a Sioux Falls resident, and I also work for North Central Chapter, Paralyzed Veterans of America here in Sioux Falls, representing many of our members who also are disabled and use wheelchairs. I really need to address this issue. I was one of the individuals that was able to meet with the multifamily housing people and really discuss this whole issue. And I feel like we compromised a tremendous amount. We're not looking at requiring lower sinks or appliances with controls on the front of the stove. This is an issue that is unique because this is not low-income people. This is full market rent apartments we're talking about, not low-income, somebody on SSI who qualifies for things. This is disabled working people or maybe veterans, war veterans, who get disability compensation from the VA that disqualifies them from tax credit housing or low-income housing. And you're shutting out a whole segment right now for the last 12 years of people that can't find housing simply because they aren't built. These apartment complexes will be here for the next 100 years. And we're totally locked out. All we're looking for is approximately a 5-foot turning radius and 1 or 2 bathrooms in a 121-unit apartment or 100-unit apartment. We're not asking for the world. And this also is available if they rent all other 20 units. The 21st unit is still available for the general public to rent. And so we feel like this is had its time to come, and we really need to act on this now, because this only gets reviewed every 3 years, and you know, it's hard to wait another 3 years watching all these units go up and not be having accessible units inside of them. So, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Questions, Kermit?
Yes.
Joe.
Joe, can you maybe respond to what I was asking Ron earlier? I mean, we build these facilities, but there's no guarantee that you can get into them. You know, you might have college students in these facilities. I mean,
which just happened to my coworker Ryan Green.
Yeah.
He just rented a loft that a 19-year-old college student was in prior to him.
Mm-hmm.
She loved it because it had a big bathroom. She could have a clothes hamper, everything else inside. We don't want apartment, multifamily housing people losing money on units. If they're available and the general public wants to rent them, I tell you, these units or standard construction in a lot of other states. They're all type A. There is no type B. When you can't get into a bathroom because it's a 30 by 48 inch square floor space in an apartment that your friend lives at or a relative, so you can't really go visit them and then, and hang out with them because you can't use the bathroom. And another example of that, Kermit, would be that they would rent the more accessible apartment that you could go visit them at, even though they're not disabled. And that's just the way it is. I mean, first come, first serve.
Thanks, Joe. Further questions of Joe? Thank you very much. Others that wish to address the council on the proposed amendment, come forward, please.
My name is Charles Santee. I'm a resident here in Sioux Falls. And the first comment is we should at least meet or exceed the national requirements here in Sioux Falls. And the other thing, and I'd like to address a comment by Mr. Staggers. I'm well aware that the non-disabled love the facilities designed for disabled. You take a large, well, I can only say for men's room, where you have 4 or 5 stalls and one handicapped. How often is the handicapped stall filled with non-disabled, whereas the rest of them are sitting with their doors open? And I'm well aware of the fact that small bathrooms, because I've got one in my house, I can get in it, but I can't close the door, can't turn around or do anything like that. So I'd now be moving one of these days, and I'd have appreciate it much if there was at least a possibility of moving into an apartment that had a decent-sized bathroom. I've run across this problem even in one of the local hospitals. Waiting for an x-ray, I had to go to the bathroom. They had to clear out the waiting room because I got in and they couldn't close the door. Oh, one last item. I'm all for as wide a door as possible. I've lived a lot of places in this country, and I have the big bone Germanic build. And I got a little tired of having to go in a bathroom sideways because my shoulders wouldn't clear the door frames.
Questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, Charles, you mentioned that I should say people that are not handicapped like the wide stalls, and I totally agree with you. So if I'm going to an apartment and I see one of these apartments that have more space, I think I want to rent that. But then in renting that, I'm taking away that opportunity from you.
So is life.
Yeah.
Nothing, unless you make them all identical, there's nothing that can prevent it. It's just luck of the draw.
Yeah.
So if you make it 100%, we wouldn't have any problems.
Bob?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Mayor. I understand Kermit's concerns, but I think with the new numbers, the 1 in 24 and the 2% on 100 after that, the number of these units that are going to be available throughout the community is going to increase substantially over what it was, thusly improving the odds. And I know what you're saying. There's no guarantees here, but I think the more of them you have out there, the greater the odds are. So,
thank you, Joe. Go ahead.
May I make one more comment?
Sure, you may.
The population of this country is aging, and I believe Sioux Falls is among those that are acquiring a large number of senior citizens. And the more we get, the more we're going to have disabled or the people that have difficulty maneuvering in bathrooms. So if you're going to have to address this for a larger percentage one of these days anyway, so why not up the percentage right now and get it over with?
There you go. Other questions, Charles? Thank you very much for coming down. Others that wish to address the council on the proposed amendment or on the ordinance for 13? come forward and give your name, please.
Hello, my name is Thad Shutton. I'm on the board for South Dakota Multi-Housing, and we have met with the disabled community on this, and Ron Bell and the city. My understanding is that we are now going to have to be required to enlarge in the bathrooms to meet Type A units. That countertops can all remain the same unless they need to be adaptable to the people that move into these units. South Dakota Multi-Housing and at least the 12 owner builder representatives that were in the meeting are in favor of this. Okay, so we have no issues with it as long as we're not required at this point to fully comply with Type A units as far as lowering the sinks, having the carpet pile be at a certain height, no pad, basically office type carpet. 3.0 doors are required already in any Type B unit, so no issue there. So we are, and I've talked with Joel, we've talked with Ryan and the other people with the disabled community on this, and I apologize, I showed up late, so if there was anything else other than the room in the bathrooms for later on having the accessibility for disabled people, we have no issue with that whatsoever. 25 units or more, or over 24 units per building or complex. Also, that it would not include any buildings that are already have had permits or are already built on that plat would not be included. We're fine with it. What I would like to say is that there is a lot of things that I think we can do to be proactive on this in the future. I think there's a few things that need to be done, whether it's locally, whether it's within the state, things like that. But I think a study needs to be done on what is required in this community for the disabled, okay, in our apartment dwellings, because what they're asking is for what we call market rent apartments. Okay, we're not talking Section 8, we're not talking tax credit, which are already required at 5%. Okay, but you're asking for market rent apartments. Typically, market rent apartments do not take any type of housing or any type of federal monies or anything like that. And in the meetings with the disabled community, for the most part, these people have some type of assistance that they bring along with them in these units. Well, they would not qualify in that case. So, but even if they did, maybe there are other things that they do not qualify at. We as market rent builders, owners, we have lots of things that we can not allow a person into our dwellings. If they have credit issues, if they have criminal issues, if they have a bad reference or no reference whatsoever, or no reference in the past, they would not qualify for them units. And so I think what needs to be done is that we need to have some sort of study done. And the state of Massachusetts, I went as far as calling the Fair Housing First, which is the front person for HUD in these issues. And they have done that. They have created a website. I have the website, and I discussed with the people in Pierre, specifically Scott Rounds, who's the head of the SDHDA. And to my surprise, we have one already. It's in place. I have a website where people can go that are disabled, that landlords can put their properties there and get in contact with people that need these types of apartments and the people that have those types of apartments. Lo and behold, I found out that a lot of people, if not most people, don't know about the website. So that needs to be out there. South Dakota Multi-Housing will be putting that in their newsletter every month. And so also I have contacted the Home Builders Association to try to do the same, because it's not only apartments, it's houses, it's all kinds of things. So hopefully that'll help out also. Beyond that, but a lot of questions need to be asked, not just if what handicap they have or what disability they have, what their needs are, those types of questions, but also what rent price can they rent something at? Do they need a 2-bedroom? Do they need a 1-bedroom? Do they need a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom? What can they afford at that price? Do they need housing assistance? All these questions need to be asked and need to be in the study. And we have talked about multi-housing.
Excuse me. Could we just stay with the amendment, please? And so we just talk about the amendment. What you think,
absolutely.
if you would, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we're behind this, and we'll be more than happy to discuss it further with anybody if they would like to. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Kermit?
Yeah, you mentioned a study for this. Do you believe the 2% is too much or not enough, or?
I don't know. There has not been any study brought to my attention of what is needed out there. Mm-hmm. We do know that there are tax credit units that are available out there right now. I do not know how many bedrooms these units are or what the specifics are for them, but there are units that are available at this time that actually go beyond Type A. I mean, they're even more accessible than what is asked for in Type A. So,
further questions? Thank you very much. Others that would like to address the proposed amendment?
Thank you.
Got one. If not, would you, Tamara, read the proposed amendment, please?
Yes, Mayor. The proposed amendment will be on page 25 of the final document. I'm reading it into the record. Section 1107.6.2.1.1 Type A units in Group R-2 occupancies containing more than 24 dwelling units or sleeping units. At least 2%, but not less than one of the units shall be a Type A unit. All R2 units on a site shall be considered to determine the total number of units and the required number of Type A units. Type A units shall be dispersed among the various classes of units. Exceptions. Number 1, the number of Type A units is permitted to be reduced in accordance with Section 1107.7. Number 2, existing structures on a site shall not contribute to the total number of units on a site. Number 3, the following provisions in Section 1003 Type A dwelling units referenced in the ICC/ANSI A117.1-2003 are applicable. 1, a 5-foot clear floor space within a walk-in closet is not required. 2, a work surface in the kitchen referenced in 1003.12.3 work surface is not required. 3, The reduced work height of the kitchen sink at 34 inches referenced in 1003.12.4.2 height is not required. 4, laundry equipment and appliances require only the clear floor space referenced in Section 611 washing machines and clothes dryers and 1003.12.6 appliances. 5, the height of the storage areas referenced in Section 1003.14.2 height are applicable to the base cabinets only.
Okay, that's the motion that's been read, and it's motion been made and seconded. Are there further comments on the motion to amend? Not. All in favor of the motion to amend will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
That motion has been approved 8-0, so we're back to the main motion as amended. We have motion made and seconded. Further comments on the motion as amended? Not? Do you have?
Yep. I was going to ask a question of Ron here. On this ordinance that we're dealing with, do we have any costs on how much is this going to contribute to building?
No, I couldn't give you what that
Yeah,
cost is,
I mean,
Mr. Staggers.
that's something that, we often deal with when we talk about these things. We pass these ordinances, and we have no clue as to how much this is all going to cost. I mean,
What this really is a design criteria. I mean, you can talk about the square footage of a typical apartment. With type Bs, you're coordinating your 30 by 48 spaces for your appliances. With type As, you are creating more space for your bathrooms. And it's still adaptable criteria where you don't have to have grab bars in like you would in a completely accessible unit. So it's really hard to quantify what a cost is based on a design criteria.
yeah.
Back to the main motion that's been made by Litz and seconded by Benega. Main motion is amended. Further comments? Neither. Not. All in favor of approving the main motion as amended will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 13 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 no, as amended. Item 14.
Item 14 is in a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by adopting the 2009 International Existing Building Code and amendments thereto.
The International Existing Building Code is a companion code to the International Building Code, and this is dealing with an alternate that a designer can choose to use that would specifically be applicable to any type of remodels, repairs, renovations, upgrades, changes in occupancies, modifications to historic buildings. What this code does, it gives a designer options to make sure that a building doesn't have to comply with all the requirements of the International Building Code for new construction, but it gives alternate criteria for what still has to be done to meet minimum life safety in existing structures. There's not a whole lot of changes they made at the national level. And the local level, the only thing that we did was that they did reference egress windows as far as areas in the building code and residential code, which we amended, so we put another local amendment to make sure that egress windows are the same size as what we have for a local amendment.
Questions of Ron on item 14?
Well, on this one, Ron, you mentioned about there's some exemptions here from the regular building code that do not necessarily have to be complied with. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Cost benefit, I mean, are we going to save more money by passing this one, or
Yes.
cost more money?
No, you will save money on this.
Okay.
This code is used widely on the amount of buildings in the downtown renovations down here. The one thing, when it came out in 2003, there was criteria in there for even eliminating certain life safety issues of sprinklers and fire alarm systems, which in the 2006 got brought back into the code. But you can ask designers that have used the International Existing Building Code, and they have found that there is significant cost savings with using this as an alternate.
Okay.
Further questions of Ron on item number 14? Others that wish to address the council on item number 14? I see no one coming forward, so we'll move into council discussion or action.
Move to approve Litz.
Litz moves. Is there a second?
I second.
Anderson.
Knutson seconds. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 14, will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Henderson.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 14 has been approved 8-0. Item 15.
Item 15 is a second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by adopting the 2009 International Residential Code and amendments thereto.
The International Residential Code is another companion code that, for lack of a better term, is a home builder's code. This is applicable to 1- and 2-family dwellings, townhouses, not more than 3 stories in height, and has its own independent exit system. One of the major things that I never thought I'd see in my career came about in the International Residential Code, and that is a national mandate for sprinklers in 1- and 2-family dwellings and townhomes. If we were to adopt this code as is, we would require sprinklers in townhomes when the code becomes effective, and in single-family dwellings issued after January 1st of 2011. This has been one of the most significantly contested issues that I've ever seen in my years of being in code enforcement. The criteria for sprinkling houses is not required. That will be a local amendment. There were issues that we had to go into the code to make sure that if somebody does choose to sprinkle houses, that you would still get the benefits that got put into the code that's along with it. As far as national changes, there's a mandate for carbon monoxide sensing devices in new houses. Braced wall lines for wind loads have changed, hopefully for the better. And it was intended to be simpler, but we're going to have some difficulty with that to get that through to make sure that everybody understands that. Increased energy, R values, and so forth was also part of the national consensus. Our building services met with the Sioux Empire Home Builders Association for a period of 5 to 6 months, and we went through this item by item to seek their input for the local modifications to the International Residential Code. So with that, you've got an ordinance synopsis and submittal of what those changes are. I'd entertain any questions.
Questions are on item number 15.
On this one, Ron, I mean, is it fair to say that we are going to have increased costs on this one?
If we adopted the code the way it is, we'd have significantly increased costs.
Well, yeah, because we were, I think every one of us on the city council was opposed to the, sprinkling of new homes and things like that.
That was never on the table in front of the land use committee, the sprinkling of new homes. What was proposed?
We had that discussion, yeah.
And what was proposed at land use was our feeling that R2 apartments should be sprinklered, which never made it out of committee. Based on the fact that now the international codes are requiring all Group R occupancies to provide the life safety protection that a sprinkler system will give you.
But anyway, back to the original issue here. This ordinance is probably going to increase costs in building. Is that a fair statement?
I don't think so.
Okay, can you?
You're talking with sprinklers. If we adopted that could be $7,500. It depends on what the dollar per square footage is that we've heard.
Yeah, but we're not adopting sprinklers. I mean, just the way we're adopting it right now.
But we've also have amendments in here that we have met with the Home Builders Association that has taken into the effect of affordability. There's amendments that would require air blower tests for energy efficiency, not requiring it. There's requirements for all your ductwork to be completely sealed, not going to require it. So we have met with the Home Builders Association, and we have developed local amendments to maintain life safety that's required in this code, but also deal with the affordability to make sure that houses within the city of Sioux Falls are not going to significantly increase based on this code requirement.
Okay, so we're not going to significantly increase. Is that?
Again, it's extremely hard to quantify.
Yes. And that's the problem, because we never get any numbers at all when we deal with these codes. It's just kind of take it on faith and vote for it without any cost analysis at all. That's the troubling thing.
The increased cost criteria that we did discuss would be the requirement for carbon monoxide detectors in new houses $40 a detector. Another increased cost is going to be your R values within ceilings. Currently, there are 40, they'll go to 49. And I got representatives from the home builders that might help me with that, but we heard that that's a matter of $200 to $300. There's a requirement for programmable thermostats within houses. That was never in there before. But almost everybody is using programmable thermostats.
So, yeah.
So-
So we don't have to do this.
Further questions? Others wish to address the council on item number 15.
Jared Smart, 707 South Tayberry. I'm just here to represent the Home Builders Association of the Sioux Empire. We've been working with Ron, like Ron said, for the last 5 or 6 months, and we support the changes to the IRC as amended. So,
Questions? Go ahead.
Yeah. Any idea from the home builder's perspective of the additional costs that are going to be entailed here?
like Ron said, it's really hard to quantify them. Any additional costs, we have felt that there's been a lot of cost savings due to the amendments that we've made to the code. Any additional costs, we feel that the value gained from the cost is worth the expense. I mean, which doesn't give you any numbers, but and that's our opinion as builders. But obviously, we want to keep the price of building as low as possible, and that's what our side of the table was about. So, I don't know if that answers your question or not, but.
Do you happen to remember the number the Home Builders Association have for the typical home, the increased costs of all these codes? The National Association has a number, don't they?
Of costs?
Yeah, additional costs.
Additional costs, I don't, because again, what house is that? What house are these changes being applied to? What's the standard house? So that's why it's so hard to put a pinpoint number on these. You know, like Ron said, the carbon monoxide detectors were $40 a pop. And, you know, the extra insulation in the attic. You know, I think that was actually not quite $200 to $300. I think that was more like $150 for a standard, 1,200 square foot ranch house. So there may be a little additional cost in some instances, but as amended, there's definitely large savings. And I support that. Our subcommittee at the Home Builders Association supported it. So the cost analysis, I know you haven't seen any numbers, but the cost analysis has been done on our behalf, and we support that change. So,
okay.
Thank you. Others that wish to address the council on item number 15? Come forward, please.
This is Charles Santee, local resident, and I have a couple questions that Mr. Steigers brought up, or about what Mr. Steigers brought up. So you increase the upfront cost of a dwelling. So how much does that increase or decrease things like energy consumption during the winter over the next, say, 10 years? How much does it decrease the homeowner's insurance because you have a sprinkler system in there? So the place is much less likely to burn. So your upfront costs may be offset over a period of time by reduced cost in the recurring expenses.
Thank you. Others that wish to address the council on item number 15? Not. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve, Brown.
Brown moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconds. Further comments on the motion to approve? Go ahead.
Well, I guess it's pretty obvious. We have no numbers at all, really, to know. Charles, I agree with you. There could be, additional costs at the beginning, and then later on we might be doing some savings, but we simply don't have any numbers. We really don't know at all.
Okay, further comments? We got a motion been made and seconded to approve item 15. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, no. Vote no.
Councilmembers Lutz?
Yes.
Steigers?
No.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
All members present vote. Item 15 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 no. Item 16.
Item 16 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by adopting the 2009 International Mechanical Code and the 2009 International Fuel Gas Code and amendments thereto.
What's being proposed is to adopt both the International Mechanical Code and the International Fuel Gas Code. This is the code, these are the codes that are utilized by the heating, ventilation, air conditioning industry within the city of Sioux Falls. Again, these documents were taken through a Mechanical Board of Appeals process. I believe that we met for a period of 5 months and went through item by item as to what the code changes were. We didn't end up with a whole lot of local changes, and basically adopted or brought in the majority of the code changes that came with the 2006 codes. So with that.
Questions are on item number 16. Others that wish to address the council on item number 16? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Litz.
And I second that motion, Knutson.
Litz moves and Knutson seconds to approve item 16. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
All members present voted item 16 is approved, 7 yes, 1 no. Item 17.
Item 17 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by adopting the 2009 International Property Maintenance Code and amendments thereto.
The International Property Maintenance Code governs maintenance of existing buildings, whether residential or commercial. It has criteria for life safety within existing buildings, plumbing, mechanical, electrical, fire protection systems in both residential and non-residential structures. As far as the national changes to the International Property Maintenance Code, it was primarily a lot of clarification, especially defining unsafe conditions for exterior, interior, and electrical hazards and so forth. As far as local amendments, there's 2 new ones that we proposed to do. This deals with a notice and order on existing building that has had absolutely no action in it, where this code gives the due process for the city to actually raise the building and assess the costs of it back onto the property. The criteria for that previously was in the code was once a notice and order is out, we can't start the process for a period of 24 months, and we chose to reduce that time period from 24 months down to 18 months. The second thing is that the criteria for the board for the property maintenance is different from all the other boards that we have with building services, and we simply changed the language to be consistent with the other boards. The property maintenance board has 3 members with 2 alternates. For all of our other boards, just simply requires a quorum. So we're proposing to have the same type of quorum for that. Any questions?
Questions are on item number 17. Go ahead.
So, Ron, on this one here, it sounds like what you were saying is that we really don't have any additional requirements being placed on the property owners. It's just a matter of process of how we're going to deal with some of these properties when they get in really bad shape.
This defines minimum life safety for a housing inspector to go to a property to assure that there is at least, I'm telling you, the minimum of minimum life safety criteria, whether it's egressing or electrical systems, mechanical systems, furnaces and so forth. This is what the housing inspector utilizes to make sure that an existing property is safe.
But once again, have those changed? I mean, you mentioned, of course, about demolishing a house, instead of 24 months, we can start the process 18 months or...
No, the criteria within the code is almost all the same.
Okay.
The only national changes that they did was a lot of clarification, especially when you're trying to define hazardous conditions.
Okay.
Further questions are on item number 17. Others that wish to address the council on item number 17? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Litz.
Litz moves. Is there a second?
Second, Benega.
Benega seconds. Further comments? I see none, so all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 17 has been approved 8-0. Item 18.
Item 18 is an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by adopting the 2009 International Fire Code and amendments thereto.
Good evening, Perry Volden, Fire Marshal, City of Sioux Falls. Again, I'm here with the last of the companion I-Code document, that being the International Fire Code. I'd like to say last but not least. This, again, is a code that is utilized basically during the construction somewhat from the standpoint of fire protection systems. It addresses things like hazardous materials above and beyond that. It is also a maintenance code that is used after the fact for the inspection of property and primarily commercial businesses. We also had met and sought approval from the Board of Appeals and did receive that. This has been reviewed, and I'm here tonight to field any questions you may have.
Thanks, Perry. Questions, Perry, on item 18? Go ahead.
Yeah, Perry,
Yes, sir.
on this one here, do we have new additional costs involved with some of these or not?
In some areas, there will be additional costs. I had mentioned before, there's a provision in the code when we talked in the informational meeting relative to providing radio coverage within certain facilities. In many other areas, there are reduced costs. And one of the things with all of the codes is they are a consensus-based code. And from one addition to the next addition, it's not always looked at as an increase in cost. Quite often, they provide clarifications and bring in other, as I stated, I believe during the first reading, they bring in other information that is found in other documents just to make it more centralized, I guess, and available for our use.
Further questions, Perry, on item 18? Others that wish to address the council on item number 18? Not? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Litz.
Let's move second.
Second, Jamison.
Jamison seconds. Further comments on the motion? I see none, so all in favor of the motion to approve item 18, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benega,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 18 has been approved 8-0. Item 19.
Item 19 is the second reading. An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 3020 North Van Epps Avenue from the RA2 Residential District to the RS2 Residential District, petition number 2009-1217, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls.
This is property owned by James Zimmerman. It's in the Norton Acres development. It's located on Van Epps and 31st Street North. It's approximately 4/10 of an acre in size. There is currently an existing single-family residence on this property. It's zoned for high-density multifamily, and the applicant is proposing to split the lot into two and add another single-family unit. And so this zoning would be more appropriate for that future land use, and the recommendation is to approve his petition.
Question to Mike on item 19. Others that wish to address the council on item number 19? Not. There's a motion to approve.
So moved, Litz.
Let's move. Is there a second?
Second, Jamison.
Jamison seconds. Further comments on the motion has been made and seconded. Seeing none, all in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benega,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 19 has been approved 8-0. Item 20.
Item 20 is the second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, a major amendment, petition number 2010-0105, to Chapter 15.45.070 Plan Development Districts at West 32nd Street and Mary Beth Avenue, amending the Westwood Valley Plan Development District sub-area regulations.
The petitioner for this item is Rick Dunlap, representing Westwood Valley Addition. And this particular development is in the area of West 32nd Street and the TLS Road. It's just under 4 acres in size. The developer is requesting that we add an allowable land use within this area, which would consist of residential storage units. And this is a concept that has been done in other parts of the country. Typically in Sioux Falls, we have limited these to commercial storage units, but this is a concept that the developer is trying to do that's more accessible to a particular neighborhood. And he has put together not only identifying the land use, but also putting together some design guidelines that would be used for the construction of these storage facilities. And this is being recommended for approval.
Questions of Mike on item number 20? Go ahead, Greg.
Mike, do you have any other drawings of what this would all look like, other than an aerial view like this?
We do not.
But you're comfortable with how these storage units will interface with the whole development?
Sure. I mean, I think based on what the design criteria that Mr. Dunlap is proposing, again, we can use models of other places that have already built these, and I think they can be integrated into a neighborhood setting pretty well.
Mr. Chair.
Further question? Go ahead, Bob.
Mike, I'm looking at, he has an access off the TLS Road, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, then later on, will that be a, what do you call it, right in, right out only as the arterial road is put in there?
Potentially, but we haven't made that determination yet. So.
Very good, thank you.
Further questions of Mike on item number 20? Others that wish to address the council on item number 20? Not. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Benninga.
Benninga moves. Is there a second?
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconds. Motion made, seconded. All in favor of the motion to approve item 20? Vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 20 has been approved 8-0. Item 21.
Item 21 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Sections 2740 and 2741 of Article 3 of Chapter 27, Parks and Recreation, of the revised ordinances of the city by revising recreation and facility fees.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Don Kearney with Parks and Recreation. We have three primary changes to the fee ordinance that's before you tonight. The first one is the definition of a family aquatic center. We've changed the description so that if we convert one of our traditional swimming pools to a family aquatic center in the future, it will be covered by this ordinance. Historically, we've listed those facilities by name, but as we, in the case of Drake Springs, for example, have converted those to family aquatic centers, we're just trying to make the language broad enough so that as we do that, we don't have to come back to council every time and change the ordinance. Second change is that we embarked on a new program this year called Dodgeball, and we did get 18 teams signed up for that program, and so we're asking to add Dodgeball to our list of programs and services we provide, and the fee of $50. And then the final change is that we've added Harmadon and Sherman Parks to the list of sites where co-ed softball is played. As a result of Harmadon Park opening, we did some shuffling of some of the teams that played in other locations, and we do now play at Sherman and at Harmadon for co-ed softball, and so it adds those sites for that particular purpose. There were some other clerical changes that we made to the ordinance as well. However, there weren't any other fee impacts at all with those clerical changes. So glad to answer any questions.
Questions of Don on item number 21. Go ahead.
Yeah, Don, you mentioned $50 for dodgeball. I just assume, is that per team or per individual?
That's per team.
Okay. And also, too, since we're adding adult dodgeball league, is there going to be an increase in staffing in the Parks Department or anything?
No, there won't be.
Further questions? Not. Is there a motion set the hearing date for March 8th for item number 21?
I so move, Knutson.
Knutson moves, second by Anderson. Knutson make the motion, second by Anderson, for set the hearing date for March 8th for item 21. Further comments on that motion? I see none. All in favor, set the hearing date. Vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
That motion prevails 8-0. The hearing date has been set for March 8th for item 21. Item 22.
Item 22 is a first reading, an ordinance amending the 2002 revised zoning ordinance for Minnehaha County and the City of Sioux Falls by revising the standards for driveways, parking lots, and loading/unloading areas. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
We have two items tonight that were introduced by Minnehaha County, and this was recommended for approval by a joint meeting of both the city and the county planning commissions. Item 22 has to do with clarifying what constitutes adequate hard surfacing within a development area outside the Sioux Falls city limits. And the ordinance provides that hard surfacing may consist of either concrete, asphalt, or crushed asphalt. And then it has some design standards for those. It also provides for exceptions of hard surfacing for certain uses such as truck terminals, concrete and paving plants, construction yards. And this is very similar to what we currently do within the Sioux Falls city limits. So this, again, is to clarify what hard surfacing is defined as, and then to provide for exceptions for certain types of land uses.
Questions of Mike? Go ahead.
Yeah, Mike, I can understand having standards for public, facilities, but when you're talking about, these surfaces on private property, why are we getting into this?
Well, this is different. This would be no different that within the city limits we have requirements for different types of streets, driveways.
Well, yeah, streets and driveways, but purely on private property, though. I mean,
parking lots. We have design standards for parking lots within the city.
yes, but parking, I don't know, parking ramps and things like that.
Well, this, again, Section A applies to driveways, parking lots, and loading areas in commercial or industrial areas.
Because, if I had a business, I'd want to make sure I have really good surface area. I wouldn't want it breaking up all the time, so...
Well, you might not be typical of every business person, so we want to make sure that everybody's doing it the same way.
Everybody's doing it the same way. Okay.
Further questions, Mike, on item number 22. Okay. Let's go to 23.
Item 23 is a first reading, an ordinance amending the 2002 revised zoning ordinance for Minnehaha County and the City of Sioux Falls by adding vehicle and equipment restrictions to the additional use section and supportive descriptions in the definition section of the ordinance. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is another item that was brought to us by Minnehaha County, and they've had a number of issues to deal with over the years within rural residential development areas, particularly addressing the use of certain types of vehicles, commercial vehicles, recreational vehicles within these residential subdivisions. And for those of you that have been on the council for some time, you know that we've struggled with this even within the Sioux Falls city limits about parking of RVs, parking of commercial vehicles in residential areas. So what the county has done is working with some of the rural residential properties is trying to come up again with some standards of what type of vehicles would be appropriate within these rural residential subdivisions. And when the planning commissions met, there were a couple amendments made to help clarify those standards. And I believe when we have second reading, we'll be introducing those as a formal request to amend.
Questions, Mike, on item number 23? Not? Go ahead.
And so on this one, Mike, we have ag land out there in the county, and we're going to start telling them about recreational vehicles on their own ag land and ATVs and things like that. Is that what this is part of?
Part of this would address, yes, within any area where there's residential uses, and that can be agricultural or it could be rural residential.
Mm-hmm.
Further questions? 23. Okay, let's go to set the hearing date for March 15th for items 22 and item 23. Is there a motion?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Benninger.
Benninger seconds. Motion to set the hearing date for March 15th for items 22 and 23. All in favor of that motion, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benega,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
All members present have voted. That hearing date has been set for March 15th for items 22 and item 23. 8-0, item 24.
Item 24 is a resolution approving a revised joint cooperative agreement establishing the Southeastern Council of Governments.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Keller-Forbes. I am the Executive Director of the Southeastern Council of Government, the Southeastern Development Foundation, which operates a regional revolving loan fund, and also Dakota Business Finance, which offers SBA's 504 program. Our physical location of our office is 500 Northwestern. What you have before you tonight is the joint cooperative agreement. This is the agreement under which the Southeastern Council of Governments was created. It was last updated in 2006. Signed by our 6 counties that we serve, which would be Clay, Lincoln, McCook, Minnehaha, Turner, and Union counties, and our 3 first-class municipalities of Brandon, Vermilion, and the city of Sioux Falls. reason that the amendment is before you tonight is because in the fall of 2009, we were approached by the Department of Environment and Natural Resources about applying for a $100,000 grant from its solid waste program. Because of DENR's rules, the Southeastern Council of Governments was the applicant for that, and the intent was that those funds would be passed through to the Southeastern Development Foundation to start a regional revolving loan fund for solid waste and recycling materials for private companies. The good news is we were successful. We received the $100,000 grant. The bad news is as we started looking at our documents, we didn't have the express authority to accept those funds and pass them through to the Southeastern Development Foundation. So upon the advice of our attorney, she advised that we should go ahead and amend the joint cooperative agreement, so we have done that. Just to give you kind of an update, that has been adopted by all 6 counties so far, and also Brandon in the city of Vermillion. As usually happens when you open these things, in addition to when we opened it and made the substantial changes under 5.01 subsection 13, we also made some style and format changes and a few other things, increasing one private representation by 1 on the board and decreasing the legislative members by 1 and those kinds of things. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Lynn. Questions of Lynn? Others that wish to address the council on item number 24? Not? Is there a motion?
Move to approve, Brown.
Brown moves. Is there a second? Anderson seconds. Further comments on the motion? Made, seconded. All in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 24 has been approved 8-0. Item 25 and
Item 25 is a report of the February 24th, 2010 Notice of Transfer of Appropriations Within Major Organizational Units, Memo 1.
item 26.
Item 26 is a report of the February 24th, 2010 Notice of Transfer of Appropriations Within Major Organizational Units, Memo 2.
No action needed on item 25 and 26, so is there a motion to adjourn?
So move, Anderson.
And who seconded? Anderson seconded? Anderson seconded. All in favor of the motion, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Stand adjourned.